Hello, everybody. It is 3:57 p.m. Central Time on the 11th of January, 2021, Monday, here in the United States. Got some breaking news for everybody. A huge earthquake, a very large earthquake, has just struck out here at the Mongolia-Russia border region. Quite literally right at the border. There's a lake here. We're going to go pull the coordinates in a second, but it is a very significant sized earthquake. It's right next to the tip of our arrow coming out of Siberia going down into China or Mongolia. Now, this significant sized quake is enough to cause major damage in the region. It's just because it's a shallow earthquake in a landlocked location. EMSC has it at 6.8. Here, let's get the display capture turned back on. EMSC has it at 6.8. And it looks like also maybe the USGS might have the same. Currently 6.8. Tert, Mongolia. And we'll pull the coordinates, put them in on Google Earth to see if there's anything at the actual epicenter. There may not be anything here. I've never had to look this location up before. Like I said, it's at the Mongolia-Russia border region. Oh, wow, look what or in between. Two Smithsonian-marked volcanic fields that I've never mentioned before. Kubsagal region. Basalts dated to Pliocene to Quaternary includes basalts scattered northwest and southeast above the location on one side of this lake. The lake is called Kovsgol. Over on the other side, it's unnamed from the Smithsonian. Two upper Pleistocene volcanoes. Sorry there about that. Okay. Now, here is Lake Baikal, this shape here, and I want to show you something. And to show it to you, I'm going to back it out and show you the greater region of Siberia. And you might be able to see it, you might not. I'll turn off the borders and labels too. Lake Baikal is a crescent shape down here. And I want you to follow it up and look up to the north side. And I will turn on a line feature tool here, which might actually help us a little bit better. I'm going to park right in the middle and show you what I'm talking about here. This giant shape here. Actually, it goes around, over, back down, around, like this. It's an interior craton that makes up a good portion of Siberia. It might even be multiple plates, ancient plates. Nonetheless, this right here rises to the center, and this is a dome. Now, it's huge. Again, it's the size of the continent, and 4 years ago or so, 4 or 5 years ago, right at the center of this, a sulfur dioxide plume appeared that was just 100 miles wide, and it was blowing across most of Siberia. Nobody could figure out the source of it, but then we saw this giant dome shape here. Lake Baikal on the southern side, a crescent shape, and almost the same shape, but a mountain range up to the north. So this is, I would say this is more tilting to the south. Where this craton is tilting, this is the deep portion on one side, and this is the raised portion on the other. They mimic each other, north and south. Anyway, the earthquake is coming in right at the border at Mongolia. And let's just zoom in and see if there's anything else here. What if there's some kind of large hydroelectric generation station or something here? There might not be. Again, this is out in rural area. There is the town that it's located from, triangulated from, the town called Turt, T-U-R-T. I'm not seeing very much else here nearby. There's no large nuclear power plants, no hydroelectric dams on this as far as I can see, unless it's all the way down here to the south. Let's just go see. Again, they don't have anything like that there. Rural towns, airstrips, and so forth. So that takes us back to the arrow. The arrow goes back up to the letter D, and the activity that's been happening up here. We have Shivelush, we have Kluchevskoy, we have Ebeko volcano, and we had a deep earthquake here. You see it raised high off the globe in the Sea of Japan. That's why I have the arrows pointing over to the west. From both of our locations, from Japan and Kamchatka, one arrow coming in from Kamchatka, the other arrow coming in from the Sea of Japan, both going over to the pinnacle point where all of our other earthquake activity has taken place in the last day. North India, 5.1 in North India, 4.5 at the tip of the arrow, 4.5 over in North Iran. And let's not forget, even out at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, our letter X was hit by a mid-range 5. This is all since last night. So let's just start over. Again, if you're just now tuning in, a 6.8 earthquake struck in North China, or actually Mongolia. Mongolia-Russia border region. And the energy is coming across from the West Pacific, which is in the middle of a deep earthquake event at this point. We are right at the 7.0 threshold, and the warning this week was to go up to 6.9. So here we are, we're at a 6.8. I will take that as an earthquake forecast hit, especially since it's at the tip of the arrow. And then finally, it's at the middle point between our earthquakes down here in India and Afghanistan, again down to the southwest, this 5.1. And we go back just a couple days, and we are in between, sandwiched between our other previous sets of earthquakes. The only thing missing at this point is a new earthquake back here in Siberia to fill in the halfway point of the halfway point, or what would we call that, a quarter point. So you take a half and you cut it in half again, you get a quarter. So I would expect another earthquake to strike, filling in the middle point. It may have already hit and they just didn't report it. Now that a 6.8 is struck here, this is going to increase the seismic flow going over into Europe, coming out of the Middle East. In the next few days, we should see a full magnitude increase, maybe even 1.5 magnitude higher. We might be going back up to 6.0 range in Iran. Look where the rings overlap in Iran, for instance. They overlap on the city of Tehran, tip of the arrow. I would watch between Tehran and the southern plate boundary down in South Iran for a new upper 5 to near 6.0 earthquake to strike. Additionally, we just have to warn everybody right now, Greece most likely will start to show activity back down here between the Aegean Sea. This is the Aegean Sea. This is Crete. This is Cyprus, which belongs to Turkey. I would watch between the three. That puts Rhodes right in the middle where the rings are overlapping there. And it too could go up into the upper 5, low 6 range. As if that wasn't all enough, for my people here in Croatia, we have to now issue a generalized watch for the activity to come across. This should be pretty quick. This just hit, but within the next few days or less, we should see it come over here into, again, the area between Crete, Cyprus, and Turkey, Greece basically, right here. And we should see it go back up into Croatia again. It has not gone fully out around Europe. The only thing that's happened, the good news is this. 5.5 or 5.4 struck at the X, and let me take you over to the USGS plate boundary map to explain why this is actually good. This earthquake striking, look where the red lines come together. Do you see it's like a T intersection for a road? Well, energy coming out of Hungary or out of Croatia, and it went down and around over across North Africa, going across the Azores, or going across Gibraltar out to the Azores. Additionally, a near 4.0 range activity went up across Romania, Ukraine, over into Poland. So Romania and Poland got hit. Romania got hit at the Bulgaria border. So some energy did go out and around up into Poland, but not much. Instead, most of the energy, at least whatever could escape, has gone over to the west, 5.5. So that relieves a lot of the energy currently in the area, but a new push is coming in now. You can see it. Do you see which way the arrows point? From that 6? Again, those arrows point in your general direction. Think of this like a giant storm dropping a lot of rain, and you live along the river, and the river is where the arrows point. Now, once you get to Europe, the river spreads out in 3 directions. One to the east, one across central, one to the west. All 3 are going to light up with activity in the next several days. But first, the flow should come into Greece. That's what to expect off this new inundating push coming across the plate itself. Now, look where the earthquake is. You notice the USGS doesn't have anything on their map at all. Right? They only have the plate boundaries marked with the red lines. But getting back to my map, it shows you exactly which way to watch. Now, these are following the interior craton edges, and they all accumulate back here over in Afghanistan, North Pakistan, North India, and then flows over to Europe. But here it is. We are back at near 7.0 level, and it's been a minute. So we went almost all of last month without 7.0 activity, and, well, almost all, I say. But here we are. Now we're in January 11th, and the new upper 6 has hit. Now, why were we watching for upper 6s in particular? It's because of the deep 4s and 5s. And a day ago, when I did my update, I brought up the Indo-Australian plate. Let me show it to you. This is the Indo-Australian plate, and the plate boundaries that go around it all the way down to the south of New Zealand, down towards Antarctica, and makes a stair-step pattern back across over into the Indian Ocean. Now you'll notice the earthquakes are going around the outside edge of this, down to the south of New Zealand, over to the west of Indonesia, and, of course, they don't have anything across the craton edges in China or Russia. And get back to this, or we can even go over to Google Earth itself, and you should even be able to see what I'm talking about here. Here, let me turn off the borders, but just again, so you can see where the borders are. This is Russia, this is Mongolia, this is China. Following the mountain ranges, you can follow them over. They come to a pinnacle. Do you see it? And the craton edge of the interior portion of Russia, here, let me turn my place marks back on. I actually marked this thing out before. Oh, wait. Hold on. There it is. In white. I marked that out before so you could just see it. But there it is. So the craton edge is moving across Siberia. It's on the edge of the flow point that comes across from up here at the Sea of Okhotsk, down across, and pinnacle point here. But then it goes across Europe, or across Mideast into Europe. It spreads across Iran here in the Mideast, and goes back up into Turkey and back over into Europe. And across the S-shaped bend of the plate in Poland. I guess I need to bring this back due north. Hold on. There. The S-shaped bend in Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, and that is just the most amazing thing, though. It's the first near 7 that is struck in Asia or in the Mideast in years. So this, again, goes back several years. We haven't had any activity this size. The only good news about this is the nearest populated city appears to be very far away. I didn't even measure. I don't know. But it's somewhere, again, the nearest city is going to be around here somewhere. Let me turn on my borders and labels, places and towns. I'm just trying to find the nearest larger city of any kind that might be around there. That's the good news, is that there's not any large cities around the location. The bad news is there are some smaller towns like this where the construction, to me, doesn't look exactly like it might be capable of withstanding 7.0 earthquake activity. Up along here, what do we have? Some kind of storage tanks of some kind there. I don't know what that is, but I'm not seeing anything of any industrial significance around this lake so far. Again, we're looking at these kind of locations, whatever that is. This is China, Mongolia. I know there's some controversial things going on up here with the Chinese government. Not laughing at that. I'm just saying that I don't want to talk about it, but you guys probably know the situation at least. Yeah, I'm scanning the coastlines, and I don't see anything that could be leading to the cause of the earthquake. Like, we don't have a nuclear reactor there. We don't have a power generating plant there. We don't have geothermal there. We're in a basin that's on two sides of two ancient volcanic fields, which I should zoom in on and see if we can even make out the volcanoes. But look at the imagery on this. You won't be able to see anything through that. Ultimately, a 6.8 earthquake is nothing to scoff at all. It's enough to cause major infrastructure damage. So the roads around the area were probably damaged. There's probably landslides in the area. Not counting any kind of subsidence or rising that can happen. Subsidence, sinking that can happen. So the lake, there's a giant lake there that may have an area around it that's subsided. It's all speculation on my part. Again, we'll have to wait and see if any video comes out of the area. I think at this point, though, I'd like to take everybody over to my YouTube channel really quick and just show you. Here's the video from 23 hours ago talking about us returning to 6.9, and I even made a point about the 6.9. I wonder if it's in the description. Hold on. Did I put it in the description of the video? Yeah, I would expect the next step up to occur soon and for the M6.0 to reach up to upper M6.9 range before all is said and done for this week. And that we were going up, the reason we were going up is because of the deep earthquakes. Now we are here, and the deep earthquakes are carrying on. The deep earthquakes are not stopping. So, according to Quake Ninja, who's a regular in our chat and definitely up on their game, at least when it comes to keeping track of the earthquakes. I don't know about the music. It's a joke. That's a joke between us and the music in there, guys. That they're a big fan of the Midnight, one of these synthwave bands. Anyway, long story short on that, 90-something earthquakes deep already since the start of the month. And the USGS is not keeping track of most of the deep earthquakes. We have to go to the EMSC, the Europeans. So USGS remiss in reporting a lot of these deep earthquakes. And that's just throwing everything off. Again, they're just picking and choosing what they want to report now, which is getting a little weird. I'm going to turn down the earthquakes to 0.0 and greater really quick, just to see if anything else, small earthquake-wise, has developed. We're still swarming, like I said, in Croatia. We're moving back over to near the Chain de Puys over in France. The Pyrenees, twos going across the rest of Europe. And really quick, United States. Just look at this. A spread going across the edge of the North American Craton. Across the Craton. Going over into Missouri on the New Madrid seismic zone and down into Georgia, back up into Tennessee. Texas, of course, and then on the West Coast, it's kind of hard to see. It's just a jumbled mess of rings. But when I turn down the rings, you might be able to see it a little bit better. A line of quakes going down into Yellowstone National Park. Another line of quakes across Salt Lake City going down to the pumping operations south of Salt Lake. The volcano's getting hit back down to here, Dutchman's Draw, of all names, right? Dutchman's Draw volcano and two same-sized earthquakes going across southwest Utah right next to the Markagunt Plateau. Even the nuclear test sites started to move again. And yesterday's 3.9, I think that's still the biggest of the bunch on the West Coast right now. But that's about to change. Look, if we're getting a 6.8 on the other side, spreading out across the Pacific to the west, over to the east, we should see something at least within the magnitude. So 5.8 to 6.8, striking over here on the east side of the North Pacific within the next several days, out in the ocean. So we're going to look for that, too. I don't know if they'll report it, because they are... Man, I'll tell you what, there's something up with the reporting of earthquakes, and it's not good. But we're not going to talk about that right now. You guys, look at all the 6.0 range activity that struck this week. Here, I'm going to show you 5.8 and greater, because a couple of these were downgrades. But the 6s are marked with the bigger rings. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 8 different 6.0s, actual 6s, and then if we incorporate it, the 5.8 and 5.9, so you just add in 2 more, that would make 10. But either way, again, if we're just counting the 6s and greater, we're still dealing with 8 6s, going up to 6.8 now, in the last 7 days. And according to the USGS, on average, there's 2 to 3 a week at the most. There's some weeks where we don't have any. So to get 8 in a week, while we're getting a bunch of deep earthquakes, no one can deny, or if you are, you're in some weird world, the relation between the sudden increase in the deep earthquakes and the sudden increase in all the 6.0 plus activity, and now we're going the next step higher. So huge earthquake just hit over at the Mongolia, Russia, China border region, and it may go up magnitude-wise. They may elevate it even further, or they may take it down like they did last week to that 6. They took a 6 all the way down into a 5 range. It was very odd, actually, when they did that. But right now, they're reporting it at 6.8. That's huge for the location. And that fulfills our forecast for the whole planet so far for the week, and we just begun. My forecast was issued yesterday, and here we are today. I'm going to save this as a video, and we will put it out over on YouTube. Let's just quickly check in with the chat room over on Twitch, which is live scrolling by here on the screen right now. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching a pre-recorded live event. I'm live on Twitch right now to several hundred people over there. But then we premiere this on YouTube to everybody else, just so you know. But on Twitch, I just have to check in and see if there's anything else going on. Sometimes they bring me up to speed while I'm doing an update. Something else has happened. But in this case, looks like everybody's doing good. Man, you want to talk about a wake-up call. There it is. Near 7.0 activity in a spot we hardly ever see it. Word up. Much love.